Hello ladies and gentlemen, as always I'm your host Airsoft Al, and welcome to another commonly asked questions video. However, this one's sort of a spin-off from the last video I did on action cameras, because Popular Airsoft decided to do another article on us. Well, not really article, just more of a, I guess a shout-out piece? I don't know. It's one of those things. Go check them out, link in the description below. But here's the thing, folks. So this is something I've been getting a lot of questions about, just in general. Like, I've gotten a lot of questions about this, and while, yes, I point to other videos, they don't... A lot of videos that do talk about this don't exactly talk about the different attachments that we have for cameras, or at least how to properly place them so you can get that right angle, as well as the different cameras that go with those attachments. So I thought I'd go ahead and do this video because I've been doing this for a while now, and I'll be honest, folks, I've gotten a lot of experience with this, as well as many of the other airsofters who will probably comment on this video and even let you know down below about many of these attachments. So, here's what we're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be talking about the different ways you can mount your camera, be it on your helmet, your cap, the side, all of it. So, let's just go ahead and go with the economy first, because this is one I think a lot of people don't really know about, or at least haven't really. Starting off with the first one that I think everyone can agree with, reaching over here, is the Ghost action camera, or at least the Ion action camera, or at least some tubular camera that I know a lot of you have probably seen on store shelves for like the sub, or online for like sub $100. This type of action camera, like I said, is a tubular camera. It does have a 720p and a 1080p feature, although it's set in the 1080p. We're going to test that out. So this is your standard mount that you'll get with these type of tube cameras, is just the head. And more or less, that's just how it's designed. And this has been my selfie camera for a while now, and more or less, that's just how it is. However, the way it's set up is that you'll get this sort of off-to-the-side view of it. And while, yes, it may seem a bit cattywampus being off to the side, this is sort of the view you'll get with, more or less, the camera when it's turned on. With the camera turned on, let's take a look at what the view looks like when you have a camera off to the side, and we'll comment on that. While, yes, the off-to-the-side camera gives you that whole aspect of more or less, oh, you know, it's off to the side, you can see the helmet, you can see the ball cap, and you get this sort of semi-third-person type of setup. It's one of those things that is just sort of, not really an uncanny valley, just something doesn't seem right about it. It's a lot of people might not like it, a lot of people might like it. It's just one of those things. Not only that, but when taking it off the mount itself, this is something I think a lot of people don't understand, is the microphone placement. When you have a microphone, it's right here. And even then you have to, it's very, not distorted, but definitely is muffled a bit. And when you have a piece of plastic or something blocking that, the muffled sound gets a little worse. And even if you Dremel it out a bit, like I did on the body, to expand the microphone hearing range, that way it's not as restricted, it has a little bit more vibrations, a little more sound can get into it, it still has that same semi-muffled effect. Now understand this is a slim, cheap camera, and while, yes, the Sony action camera and a lot of other action cameras are much more better designed and have better microphones that can catch more, it's still somewhat designed in a way to... The audio, what I mean is that the audio effect is still somewhat not as good. It's one of those things. However, the big thing is that, or at least one of the... I'm stumbling on my words, yes, it's hard to describe it, and you saw the footage. You do get a little bit more sight, I guess. You do get to see a little bit more with the gun shouldering. You can see a little bit more on this side. You get a little bit more of this side view instead of the POV view, which that's another thing we're going to talk about. But before we get to that, let's talk about the way you can actually use it as a selfie camera, because it still has the wide angle. And the wide angle is definitely good for a selfie cam, and it's definitely slim enough to act as a selfie cam. And if you do get the Ghost action camera, it does come with a mount, a bike handle mount, which is this right here. And it's designed to lock into place. So what you would do is you would take this, slide it on there, and it would just keep the camera in place. However, it does hold it in really nice. Oh, there it goes. But if you shake it around a lot, it will come off. So that's another issue, which we'll get to in a bit of how you can fix that. It does have a locking mechanism right here, so you can actually lock it in place. But let's say that you do not have a camera mount like this right here. This is, of course, the Fiachi M-Lock mount for all GoPros and action cams, which we will get to in a bit. Don't get me wrong, we'll get to it. Let's say you have something like an economy gun. Let's say you just got a Spring M16, or you got the JG AK-12. How would you mount a camera on this if you don't have a rail adapter or you don't have anything else? Well, you can use the bike mount. That's the lovely thing about this, is that the way you would do this is you take this here and you would place it on the gun itself. Now, it is a little bit troublesome because the way this mount's designed, it's not designed for the smaller barrels, so what you would do is you would actually mount it up here on the more bigger area, which is right off to the side. Now, yes, it will look a little cattywampus, but it's just how it is. So the way you would do that is you would take this right here, you'd take it off, and you'd have to snake it through this. So you take this like this, snake it through as such, then you would have to loop it back around as such, around this, and you have to tighten it down as tight as humanly possible, which even then, as you can probably tell, it's not going to tighten down the greatest. So you have to go around this way, snake it through, and try and hold it on as tight as humanly possible, but you can't because, once again, it does like that. So you're going to have a bit of an issue of the camera being off to the side like that. And that is an issue for the smaller barrel variants. However, you would mount it on the front end, but I wouldn't recommend that. So, unsnaking it. And believe me, this is not an easy thing to do. Son of a bitch. Let me go ahead and take the camera off here, because this is going to be a pain in the ass either way. There we go. Again, not exactly something I'd be happy with. Now, there are other mounts that you can actually use. There's two methods to mount a action camera like this to the gun. One of the others is from a cheap camera, which is like 25 bucks, and it's this. This has a locking screw in it, so you can actually lock the camera in place, and it's actually somewhat decent. Somewhat. I have used this before. Not too greatly, but it's just one of those things. So you would unscrew it down, you pull the camera through as such, and then you would try and tighten it up as best you could. But it is tight enough to where you're not going to lose the camera. It's weird. It really is. You lift up like this, and you take that off. Now what you would do now is you would snake it through once again. Once again, taking the AK, you would take it and snake it through under the dummy cleaning rod. You would have to get it to where it's like that, then just pull it like this. And once again, not perfect, but definitely better. And of course, it's not going to slide as much all over the place, but it's, once again, not perfect, but it's definitely better. This does work a lot better with like AR-15s or other guns like that because of the larger barrel diameter, which I'll show you in a second what that's like. So let me just go ahead and take this off, and I will put on the Springer M16. You'll see what I mean. This is what I meant when I say it works a little better on M16s, because this is how you would mount it. You would actually snake this through the triangular front sight, and it would just set up like this. Now, if you're wondering how this looks in this cattywampus fashion, well, let's find out, shall we? Once again, the angle may not be as perfect as it is, but it's definitely better than none. Now, a good, solid way to actually have this set up would be, well, the third option for mounting this style of camera as a selfie cam. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to my little mounted friend. This is a mount that actually comes with a camera kit, which is something like this that you can buy at Walmart for about $50 at the most, if not $30, depending on how big of a kit you can go with. And you can find them online for around $100 or even under $100. This mount right here is actually really perfect for a lot of first-time selfie cam users. If you have a tube camera like this, it does come with this little screw mount right here that you can use to screw the camera on as such. If I can screw it on there. If it will screw on. It's a little difficult at first. It really is. There we go. Now, of course, the best part is that you can angle this a bit any way you want in any direction, and it will lock into place like that. Now, you will have to tighten this down because, once again, this is made for like cheapo action cameras, and it's not really designed for big action cameras. But what you would do is you would unscrew these out, and you want these on the left side of your gun, or at least the my right, you know, the right side of the gun, essentially, you know, the right side. So that way this is on the barrel as a whole. And the way this works is that it literally clamps down on the barrel. And, well, let me just use the AK as a good example. The best part about this is that the way it's designed... my bad, I meant left side, and I mounted this the wrong way. Again, it's been a while since I've used this mount, since I got the M-Lock mount, but we'll get to that in a second. And voila, you have a selfie camera, which is a little bit cattywampus, but if you actually have the arms that angle it up to where it's a little closer to the body, which we will get to in a second, you can actually have it to where it's closer to the gun. But on an AK like this, you can have it mounted on the actual brace itself, and it's not going to come off because it's tight on there to the point where I'm wiggling this and it wiggles the actual entire assembly of this JGAK, because once again the muzzle brake and the front sight post is one piece plastic or polymer, depending on how you want to go. So the way this looks on the Ghost action camera sort of looks something like this. Now, if you want this mount a little closer to the gun, then these are the arms you want to use. First off, you want to get it a little bit more... Let me just loosen this first so you can see what I'm talking about. First, you want to get about this angle here. Yes, it does technically... Forgot it was upside down, so I lost my ability to remember righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You want to get it at about this angle right here. Then you want to use this arm. This arm is one that allows you to essentially go from one angle to the standard angle for all action cameras. At which point the mount looks something like this, except there's a nut missing in this, so I'm trying to, yeah, but in a sense the camera is a little bit more off to the side and a little bit closer to the gun, which does give you the angles that you know and love from a lot of selfie cameras. But let's say you don't want to, or you have something a little bit more modular, or you want something a little bit more, then you go to actually already built mounts that are designed specifically for either Picatinny rail, M-LOK, or key mod, well, then we get some pretty weird angles in terms of actually mounting. But there are mounts out there that are designed specifically to, of course, get to accept the GoPro attachments, sort of like this. And it is actually really nice. I'm not gonna lie, I really do love those type of mounts. Now, the mount I use primarily for my M-LOK is the Fiachi, or not Fiachi, I keep saying Fiachi because I remember one of the guys actually sent it to me, but this is an M-LOK camera mount, and you can remove the arm and actually use this for Picatinny rail. Go check out my review on that if you actually want to see this thing in action. But let's go ahead and just mount the action camera on this so you can actually see what it looks like from this angle, because believe me, it's an interesting angle to say the least, and it's definitely something that I think you guys will find very interesting, or at least informative, I guess I should say. Of course, with the angle the way it is, with a wide camera, it's not as a big problem, but because the way the tubular camera is designed, it definitely gets a little bit more closer on you in terms of a selfie camera. So, like I said, the footage you saw, take what you will with using one of these as a selfie camera, or at least this close of a mounting system in terms of a carbine length rifle. If you want, you can go a little bit longer and have it a little more further away. Again, it's depending on your preference in terms of where you want to mount a tubular style camera. But what about an actual GoPro? Well, that's where things get a little bit better, because this is where we get to the actual first person action camera and sort of how it looks for everyone else. When it comes to mounting on your head, there are a few options out there. Like I said earlier on, this is more or less, you have the head strap option, which you're going to see in a second what that looks like, and then of course you have it mounting to your helmet. Now there are different types of mounts for this. My method earlier on, this is an early on type deal that you can do with yours, and it's a pain in the ass to get out. There we go. Is more or less to take the sticky pads that are provided in with your GoPro or action camera or what have you, and just slap it into the MVG mount area of the helmet. Now there are a few mounts that you can actually get to slide into it, or at least attachments for the mounts. You have this standard one right here, there's even an arm extended one, and then of course there's a few others. I believe the other one should be here still. Ah, here it is, yes. This right here is one of the newer mounts. It is a articulate style mount that allows you to completely articulate the arm itself 360 degrees, what have you, and it's pretty ingenious actually how you can set this up. So yeah, like I said, we're going to try these out, and then we're going to look at another mount which actually goes into the NVG mount, and you'll get a sense of what everything is essentially. So let's go ahead and first take a look at these two mounts, as well as the head mount and the helmet mount, all that good jazz, so you can see exactly what it looks like. Now, if you're going with the head strap mount option, do know now you have to look at a mirror, and you have to understand how far forward to push the camera. So yeah, that's just how it is. So let's go ahead and take you guys off the tripod, put you on here so you can see what it looks like, shall we? Well, yes, the head strap method is a good option if you don't have a helmet or anything like that and you just want to wear your cap and all. There is a little bit of a downside to it. More or less, it comes down to it actually being lost, essentially. Yes, you can strap it down hard enough to where it feels like your blood vessels are being cut off to your brain, but at the same time you still have that risk of losing the camera because something can get caught on the elastic as a whole, be it playing in the woods, which I have played in the woods a lot, and I've actually been cautious of keeping my head clear of any branches or anything, because the slightest branch grabbing this is taking this off along with your hat, removing your head protection essentially, or light head protection I should say. Now, another thing is angling the camera, because here's the thing, I don't know why I threw it off to the side. when angling the camera on it itself, you have to have it at a sort of 45-degree angle, or if I was to use it at the 10 o'clock position, or even 9 o'clock position, essentially. Because you have to be able to clear the bill, or at least be sure that it's low enough down to where you're getting the perfect shot. Now, once again, I'm using my GoPro Hero 1 for the majority of my, well, escapades, so that's just how it is. Now, let's go to the helmet option and take a look at exactly how that all looks as a whole, shall we? Of course, there is an inherent problem to having the GoPro up like this at a 45-degree angle, or once again at the 10 o'clock and 9 o'clock position on the helmet, is that it's kind of way out in the fucking open. Especially when you have a huge GoPro. Now, there is a solution to this, and people have actually done this and have been doing this. What you do is you take extra arms, be it 1 or 2 arms. I've done in the past 1 arm. I've also done it with 2 arms. It's one of those things where you actually articulate upward, and you have the camera essentially like this, pointed right on the lip of the actual helmet, to where it's essentially like that. Now, this is a Vivitar fucked camera where it has like a weird zoom to it. Don't worry, I'm going to be doing a compilation video one day of all my cameras and sort of showing you what they look like, so you can see what the footage looks like from each one. But this is essentially like the standard when it comes to action camera setups for helmets. However, ever since Brain Exploder came out with his mount, and even the version 2 mount, that has changed. But we'll get to that after this last one. With this, it's a little bit more better and a little bit more safer, I guess to say, in having the ability to have your camera. Now, I'm going to try and set this up to where the camera is upside down and a little bit more on the lip of the actual helmet itself, or at least it's attempted to, because, once again, this thing articulates, it comes around. I'm going to try and have it set up like that. So, to do that, what you want to do, and this is also useful for the other one too, is remove that, and you want to come up from the top. So, you know, do like that. Push this down a bit. There we go. Lock that into place so it doesn't accidentally come on. And I'm going to rotate this around 180, and I'm going to try and set this up. So, be right back, shall we? I should have said results may vary, but you get the point, though. With something like this, and even an extra arm if you want to add to it, having that articulative motion on a GoPro mount is definitely a good thing, especially if you don't want to cough up the extra money to actually buy a Brain Exploder mount. Speaking of a Brain Exploder mount, I have one, thanks to Tony. And yes, you're seeing these extra bits, so apologies ahead of time if these don't exactly line up in order with the rest of the video. Again, sorry about that. Continuity be damned. Either way, though. And the piece de résistance, the Brain Exploder GoPro mount. This is a fully 3D printed one. This was a version 1. It is a little damaged because this was Tony's, but it does do its thing. What I like is that, or what's interesting is that it is designed in a way so that way it has a small arm that you push up on, which is a little bit difficult to say the least, but it's definitely going to do its job. Now the way you would mount this, and let's try and get this off because it's going to get a pain in the ass. Thankfully enough, the elastic is not that hard to remove. At least, there we go. Holy shit, there's a BB in there. I knew I got shot in the head. Either way though, dropping that down. So, what you want to do is you want to... There are two things. One, there's this big piece right here, and then there's the bit right here. You want to line up with this channel right here and this channel right here. And what you do, essentially, is just pop it in like that, and just try and lift it up. There we go. Like I said, it's a little damaged, so it's not going to stay in place as good. So, you know, but at least it's staying somewhat in there. But this is also a knockoff helmet, so it's not going to completely stay inside the, yeah. Like I said, it's not going to completely stay in there, so that as well. Now, the best part is that the best part about this is that it will actually work with a lot of mounts. It will work with the Hero Session. If I can flip this around a bit, try and get it to work, because the way it's supposed to work is that it's supposed to give you the ability to have a low profile mount, or at least have the mount low enough to where it's like that, essentially. It's supposed to be like that with the smaller cameras. It's set up for what I believe for the sessions in mind, but I have seen other people rock the bigger GoPros like my Hero here that I'm filming on. But that's essentially what it's supposed to look like. Now, will it work like that? Not sure, because once again, this is not exactly staying inside the actual MVG mount, so results may vary depending on how cheap your helmet is. So yeah, let's get this GoPro hooked up on this, and let's actually see if the damn thing works, shall we? As stated before, this is the version 1, I believe, and it is finicky as all hell with the knockoff here. Like, I'm not joking about that. It actually is really finicky with the knockoffs here, with the Chinese knockoff. Well, yeah. Either way, though, I will say though the GoPro or the Brain Exploder GoPro MVG mounts is actually really nice. It really works. It does work. I was surprised to see how close the camera could actually get with this, because I was a little wary with how this was set up, but Brain Exploder actually thought the damn thing through, so you know what? I'm actually pretty nice with that. Or I'm pretty happy with that, I mean. Now, with that said, understand this is an extra segment that was snipped in with the rest of the video early on because, well, Tony happened to send me this, so yeah. Back to your regularly scheduled program. Now, another mounting method that is kind of not really, I don't really see a lot of, is the chest mounting method, which, for those of you who don't know what chest mount is, this crazy monstrosity is a chest mount, and it works as follows. You put it on like you're putting on a backpack or something of that nature. You put it on like this, and if I can get it to work for me, there we go. You put it around as such, and it just, again, you gotta adjust it for comfortability's sake. You wear it as such, and you have essentially a police vest of sorts, or at least a police, the whole police cam style of just the whole chest rig. So, let's go ahead and take the GoPro off this, and we get to see what this looks like when loading an AR-15 style rifle or a AK style, shall we? As you can tell, the third-person mount is interesting, and I might run one day in a game. I'll leave it to you guys. Like, when I finally am able to go play Airsoft again, let me know in the comment section if you would like to see a chest-mounted view of the actual game. Let me know. Let me know down below. I am actually curious if you would like to see that. Either way, though, whether you'd like it or not, let me know. But that is definitely one mounting method. Now, something I think a lot of gamers out there, especially me, would like to see more of, or at least something that has recently been coming up in Airsoft, especially with like the bigger snipers, like Dutch the Hooligan, things like that, is a over-the-shoulder view of Airsoft. And I actually like third-person views because it gives you a lot more visual of what's going on around them, what's going on over the shoulder, and it gives you that video game perspective. A lot of us are used to, be it Resident Evil or especially Resident Evil 4, or a lot of other games, essentially. And there are several methods to actually mount a over-the-shoulder camera, but for GoPros especially, there is a method to that. They have clips now which actually clip onto backpacks, clip onto shoulders, things like that, and it's definitely intuitive, I'm not going to lie, and something I might do in a game. Again, we're going to see how that goes. Let me know in the comment section down below if you would like to see that. But the cool thing is that there is a mount being made by my friend, a Lunatic, who actually is a U.S. Army veteran, and he's actually making these. I need to do a review on the one he sent me. It's one of those things. You know, it's just one of those things I gotta do. Either way, though. The mount in question, though, let me get this on, is something like this. It's literally a GoPro clip mount, and it clips onto straps. This is definitely good for Alice users who want a third-person overview. And once again, you want one of these mounts right here that actually do angle, change the angle for the camera. And it's definitely interesting. So we're definitely going to use this here in a second, so you guys can see what that looks like. And then we're going to start combining camera angles, so that you guys can actually see what all this looks like combined, and you'll see how it all works out. Okay? Okay. But yeah, no, just clipping this on, which has a pad right here, so that way it's on, so that way it's not uncomfortable on your shoulder. But putting this on with the Alice gear or vest, whichever one you want to go with. There we go. Let's try and get this all on. Come on, you bastard. There we go. It looks a little silly, yes, having a camera over my shoulder, but once again, with the angle you'll see, I think you'll understand why. Now, you can push this forward a bit if you want to, if it starts sliding or it starts adjusting, or you got a bony body like me, so you can't exactly friction hold most gear on your shoulders. But having an over-the-shoulder camera might produce some interesting shots. Let's get the GoPro on. Let's get the GoPro Hero 1 on this, and we'll see what that looks like, shall we? Now, besides, of course, the obvious question of placement of cameras and sort of showing you what they each look like, be it from the POV to the chest rig to the over-the-shoulder rig, there are cons to each one. With the tubular camera, you obviously have that off to the side, and you have essentially just not a lot going on. Now, we already know about the POV with the GoPro, be it the Hero 1 that I'm actually using to film all my videos with, and still rocking to this day. The Hero 1 has its downsides. It's a selfie cam because of how bigger it is. Most people nowadays go with the more smaller session cameras like this, like the GoPro Hero 5 Session, or even the newer Session cameras, which are much more smaller, like this. And of course, being right here, it's definitely good. But in terms of actually a selfie cam, it's a lot smaller, more compact, and it won't get snagged on a lot of things. Most of the time. When I get a bigger SD card and the charging cable for this, this will be the selfie cam that does replace the Ghost camera. Mostly, I am probably going to use this as a loaner camera for some people because this thing does actually take a beating. Now, in terms of the disadvantages with the tubular camera as a selfie cam, well, like I said, and as you saw in the footage, it's a lot closer to you, so you don't get as much of a sense as to what is, going on beyond this, because when it's shooting, you're seeing everything from the carry handle to here. You're not exactly seeing everything from back here. That's where the GoPro Session and even the GoPro Hero, you see everything wider, so you see the handguard, you see the magazine release, you see everything going on right here and all around. While yes, this does have the wide angle on it, it's not as big as the GoPro. So this little $30 camera isn't exactly the best in terms of a selfie camera, but it's doable as a selfie camera. Now, the GoPro, the big thing is that with the chest rig, well, you saw with the chest rig, you saw how limited it was, and when you go prone, you're just staring at the ground, essentially. Same thing goes for the selfie cam, same thing goes for the third-person mount. Unless you have a gimbal or a micro gimbal on there that allows the camera to articulate and react with it as a third-person mount, then it's understandable. Unless you're not going prone all the time, then by all means there's that. But if your gear wobbles or loosens, then the camera's going to go forward, it's going to go backwards, and the angle of which it's looking at is going to change. But then again, if you have a run cam on your gun, most of the times you can supplement that looking at the ground or looking downwards angle with the zoom in of what you're shooting at, or using the selfie cam as sort of moving from place to place. Now, if you don't have the run cam or selfie cam, you just have the GoPro as a whole, that's fine too. It's perfectly fine. And believe me, we'll get to that one day, I assure you folks, because I know a lot of you have been asking me, you know, how do I edit in or splice in, depending on your editing software, which we will do a video on that one day. How do I splice in, you know, how do I do like these professional airsofters and sort of like do the audio thing, the selfie, the zoom cam, everything, and what I do essentially, and what I learned from Jet Desert Fox, Novrich, and all these other guys who do the whole multi-camera thing. But like I said, there is a big disadvantage from the chest to the third person. Like I said, if you go prone, you're at the ground. You are literally, the camera's staring right at the ground. You're not getting any sort of shots from that POV camera or the third person camera. Which is where the selfie camera does actually come into play. And that selfie camera gives the viewer and even you when you're looking back at footage, a much more dynamic look to what the video is presenting. The run cam also does the same way as which, believe me, we will talk about the run cam and and where to place it on your gun in another video, because believe me, this one's probably gone on long enough. But what I will say is this: if you want a perfect placement for the camera, take this video as is from, you know, the tubular camera like the Ghost Cam or any of the other action cameras where it's side mounted on your head, or go with like the knockoff GoPros and stuff where it can be either mounted on the helmet or mounted via a head strap to your head. Again, it's all in terms of testing it, seeing what works, what doesn't, and it's completely up to you, the viewer, of how you want to start recording your gameplay and sort of how you want to do it. And that's it. That's all I have to say. I do hope this video was informative. I hope it helps you guys out, and those of you who are wanting to purchase an action camera to basically start recording your gameplay to show off to your friends and be like, hey, you know, this is what I do. And in terms of just cameras in general, I really do hope it helps you guys out a lot, because I love making these videos. I went to college for mechanics and stuff like that and understanding where things go, and I did take a minor in film and photography, or at least 1 year of practical film and photography. So this sort of stuff, it clicks with my brain, and I love doing this sort of stuff. So if you guys have questions that relate to action cameras or run cams, or even just general filming, just filming in general, as well as little tricks of how to edit your footage, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will try my best to do a video on those as well. Anyway, thank you all for watching. As always, I've been Airsoft Al, the Common Man's Airsofter, who shows you the many methods to mount a camera on you, so that you guys can try it in the future. And if you guys want me to, when I'm finally able to go to a game, if you want me to run the GoPro, which is my primary means of recording my gameplay, my GoPro Hero, either on my chest or over the shoulder, let me know in the comment section down below. Because, well, I don't want to try anything new unless it's okay with you guys, because I found out recently from a recent poll that you guys are kind of rabid about certain things. So let me know in the comment section down below when I get to go to another get-together to sling some plastic, where you would like to see the camera from and how you would like to see that go, and sort of what and sort of how that looks. Again, let me know in the comment section. And to those of you who also run cameras and even have a little bit of finagling and dabble in the filming industry, well, not really filming industry, but filming videos and things like that, sound off in the comment section down below and drop some useful tidbits for those who are watching this who are wanting to know where to place their camera. I love reaching out to the airsoft community, not the toxic side, not the idiotic side, the actual analytical side, the actual tinker side, the actual side that wants to help people. Drop that useful knowledge down below in case I missed something and in case I didn't say anything. Again, thank you all for watching. As always, I've been Airsoft Al, the Common Man's Airsofter, who does this sort of stuff so you can learn a thing or two. And would you kindly consider liking, subscribing, disliking, commenting, and hitting the notification bell, because once again, YouTube judges its videos on interaction, be it like or dislike, so, you know, you liking or disliking the video actually is helping the video. And, if you would like to help out in actually acquiring more affordable cameras or cheap action cameras, consider donating to our PayPal down below. It's folks like you that actually make these videos possible, and because YouTube likes to demonetize us all over the goddamn place, it's actually harder for us to actually try and make the budget to acquire the action cameras for us to test out and review, as well as the equipment we use. So, yeah. Thank you all for watching. As always, I've been Airsoft Al, the common man's Airsofter, who needs to shut up now and end the video. Till next time.